My friends, I'm afraid this is going to be the kind of news coverage we are going to be treated to in the days leading up to the November midterms. Joining me now is former legal counsel to President Trump, host of the Jenna Ellis Show, and Newsmax contributor Jenna Ellis. Great to see you, lady, as always. You know, what do you think? Since the press was so unfair to President Trump, I guess they're figuring, hey, we're in for a penny, in for a pound. Might as well drop all illusion of objectivity. Yes?
Yeah, of course. I don't call them reporters or journalists anymore. They're activists because they clearly have a bias. They're not reporting facts. They always shade things in the color that they want to project. And so they are the fourth estate because they are serving the Democrats' interests rather than serving the American people. And, the First Amendment that protected freedom of the press protected the right of every American to speak without fear of government control and whether or not the government was either censoring them or forcing them and compelling them to a particular viewpoint. But that's exactly what we're seeing that the media itself is doing by not only trying to censor and have these opinions that are so entirely biased and they have a political viewpoint, but also with the big tech platforms like Twitter and like Facebook that we now know through some of these lawsuits are actually taking orders from the Biden administration, from the FBI, to censor Americans and say, these are the viewpoints that you can't have. That's not America. That is not our constitutionally protected rights and freedoms.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Josh Hawley in Senate testimony, and I thought it was the dangest thing. We actually talked about it with Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas, actually got Chris Cox of Facebook to admit that he's a publisher. My jaw dropped. And by the way, Josh Hawley said, I hope that some people in those lawsuits you were making mention to, Jenna, are actually watching this testimony under oath for their case. Meantime, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he's looking into legal challenges, he says, against Texas for sending busloads of illegal aliens to his city. But their very presence actually in this country is kind of illegal. What does it say about Eric Adams and his political party when they focus on the GOP trying to expose the Democrats' promotion of illegal immigration rather than condemning the illegal immigration?
Yeah, the Martha's Vineyard story is one of the best stories, I think, to come out of 2022 because it highlights so specifically and so pointedly that the Democrats are just projecting their own policy preferences in order to get votes, but they don't actually want to abide by those policies themselves. So you are seeing the rank hypocrisy of people like Eric Adams, like Gavin Newsom, who's now sending a letter to the DOJ saying, look into Ron DeSantis and Governor Abbott for human trafficking. Why isn't he sending a letter to those governors saying, hey, California's a sanctuary state, have them come on in? But he doesn't actually want to abide by his own policies. Look at Mayor Bowser in D.C., who claims that they're a sanctuary city. She wants to make D.C. a state, but then she says, oh, sorry, once it comes to her own backyard, no, we can't handle these people. We don't want them anywhere here. So this just shows, like everything else, the Democrats say one thing and they do another, and it's only for the opportunistic political bias for your vote and for their control. This has to stop. And in the midterms, I hope we see a huge red wave for conservatives who actually want to conserve the truth of the Constitution, which is that our rights belong to the people, not to those in power.
And to pivot back just a little bit to our media discussion, I think that the fact that there are the Eric Adams of the world out there claiming that he has no idea what Joe Biden's doing with illegal immigration, the fact that Martha's Vineyard was shocked, Jenna, that there's actually illegal immigration going on. I think it's because of ABC, NBC, CBS, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of these people who have not reported on the actual illegal immigration disaster and multiple crises down there at the border. And then all of a sudden, here's Martha's Vineyard. They get 50 illegal aliens. Oh, my goodness, Lovey. Oh, my. This was actually something that was real. Oh, my. What is all of it? And then they call the National Guard, 125 National Guardsmen to deal with 50 illegal aliens, which is about 5 minutes worth of traffic down there on the southern border.
That should be
let me pivot if I can.
That should be the new
Yeah,
standard. To say, let's put the National Guard to take every person who is here illegally and deport them. And so I think Martha's Vineyard has set a great standard here.
Well, no, I think so, too. And of course, Texas and Arizona, and not that New Mexico cares or that California cares, they ought to look into it as well. In the meantime, President Trump releasing a statement after visiting his Mar-a-Lago home after the raid. He wrote on Truth Social, quote, "I checked out the scene of yet another government crime, the FBI's raid and break-in of my home, Mar-a-Lago. I guess they don't think there is a Fourth Amendment anymore, and to them, there isn't," end quote. What's your analysis on this? Does President Trump have any legal recourse over what happened to him?
Yeah, well, I think that's exactly what this special master is designed to do, to make sure to hold the FBI and the DOJ accountable, that they can't just oversee themselves. They can't just come into a former president's home or any American citizen's home that is unjustified without probable cause and just go on this fishing expedition. And so when we have someone like Judge Deary, who is now appointed as the special master, he's going to review all of these documents and hopefully enforce President Trump's constitutionally protected Fourth Amendment rights. So I'm looking forward to seeing some justice and some due process here, because we certainly haven't had it with the Biden DOJ.
Trump's lawyers, in the meantime, are acknowledging court filings that former President Trump could actually face criminal charges in this investigation, if, according to the U.S. government, over these government records that he kept at Mar-a-Lago. What's your opinion on that? Criminal charges, really?
Well, this reminds me of Gavin Newsom saying that, Ron DeSantis should be on the line for human trafficking. I mean, this is just such overextended bloviation to say that a document dispute of a former president, who, of course, was entitled to possess and have classified documents. And President Trump has maintained and disputed the nature of those classified documents. But listen, we don't even know what the documents are right now. And so jumping to conclusions is exactly what the Democrats want to do, because they know that this is first and foremost in the court of public opinion. And if they can convince the Republicans that, hey, this is finally it, the walls are closing in, this is like the 10th thing, but really we promise this time President Trump's really going to jail, then they can convince the American people not to vote for President Trump in 2024, not to have him as the de facto nominee and the head of the Republican Party. And that's all that they're after. They simply want to silence him, and they want to silence you and me from supporting him. We need to push back and say, absolutely not. Due process is designed to protect people like President Trump against the overreaching political persecutions of the DOJ and the FBI.
Yeah, and I was kind of shocked to see Trump lawyers actually making that type of forecast. It was shocking to me. Jenna Ellis, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.